Thanks everyone for coming on Sunday. I know it's a big toll, but hopefully it's been exciting so far. So I want to talk about how do we actually build secure agentic future. And for those who are not familiar with me, I'm one of the co-founders of Near Protocol, which is building kind of this agentic commerce infrastructure across the blockchain, the AI infrastructure, the security, the privacy. And before that, I was a researcher at Google, and I was one of the co-authors of Attention's All You Need paper. Now, the interesting thing that happened over past, I would say, 3-4 years is this transition from AI being a backend feature, right? Something that you use, you don't even know about it when you go to Google, Amazon recommendations, etc., to first chat, right, where you actually, talking to AI directly and the model is what you're interacting with, to now agents, right, with Claude and Codex and Claude code. You have now something that can go and execute actions on your behalf, and effectively completely flipping from, you talking to a product and product uses AI to now you talking to AI and AI uses product. Now, there's a next transition that's already starting to happen, and this is multi-agent coordination, right? Your agent doesn't always have access to APIs, doesn't have access to some physical tools, to ability to actually do some things in real world. And so agents starting to coordinate with each other how to get some things done. Now, this also means that how we do things is starting to, we call compress, right? It transforming from, me having hundreds of applications on my phone and trying to find each one, setting up each one, getting them started, to effectively your AI now becoming this operating system that you're using to interface with computing, with internet, and the rest of the world. And so we're kind of moving away from kind of human interaction with different applications, tabs, chains, kind of tasks, messengers, truly this intent-driven AI interactions. And this means we need a new infrastructure, right? The internet is not built for that. The internet is built for people clicking, typing URLs, and it's not built for civil resistance when one agent can effectively just DDoS some website by accident. It's not built for commerce where the agents now can do commercial relationships and you need to do guardrails, but at the same time not block it when it wants to compose, for example, transaction between Amazon and eBay. And we need privacy because we are now putting so much more information about ourselves into the systems and our transaction history. All of this is now united across all of these different properties. And so we effectively need massive amounts of privacy. And so we effectively call this, we need intent-based APIs, right? Transitioning from kind of API being a service to API satisfying an intent, the outcome you want to achieve. You want neutral rails that are really allowing to compose all these things without, single party controlling it. And we invent confidentiality for our AI and for our execution. So there's few things that we're working on to really move this forward. So one is, we call it Iron Claw. And this was coming from, very inherent desire of using these technologies to the maximum, but not trusting, something like OpenClaw or Codex Cloud Code with my credentials, with my, email, with my credit card, with my crypto wallet, right? I wanted to be able to do all of this, but I cannot trust because if you're not familiar, all of your credentials, all of your bearer tokens, all of your access tokens, API keys are all streams to OpenAI and Anthropic right now if you're using them. And on top of that, right, obviously, prompt injection and kind of all of the different things where it can just remove your home folder are effectively there. And so Ironclaw is really built differently. It's open source. You can check out the GitHub. And the philosophy is defense in depth, very much of an operating system principles, right? Think of it as what is a Unix brought to design of operating systems is really this kind of security levels and kind of abstraction levels that allow to secure how the operating system works. And so there's a bunch of kind of components to that. The tools itself are isolated in WebAssembly instead of being kind of low like CLI, where you cannot predict what's going to happen and what kind of side effects it can do. Because they're isolated in WebAssembly, we can intercept all outgoing connections and effectively remove credentials out of the tool itself and manage them in a secure vault that is encrypted and effectively validates every single outgoing connection with a policy. So to give you an example, if some tool decides to send your Google API token to evil.com, this policy will block that. Log it, disable the tool, and effectively make sure that this doesn't happen again. So really creating the system that enables security by design. There's a lot of other, obviously, prompt injection prevention and other features that we're building. And there's a lot of like future kind of capabilities that we want to add, especially for enterprise use cases where you want, tamper-proof audit logs. You want policy, like almost like HR policy for these agents, making sure they don't do stupid things on behalf of the company. Effectively, like 2 levels of isolation with Docker and Wasm and this credential policy system. And you have sub-agent systems as well, if we go to the next slide, that allow effectively to run a number of sub-agents with different jobs, with different missions, but all sharing the same memory and the same credential infrastructure. So check it out. Now, you don't need to run it locally. You can also run it on our hosted service. So we have a confidential hosting. It runs inside secure enclaves, and it effectively allows you for free to start it. And you can pay $20 or $200, depending on your usage, for AI inference, which is also confidential. So end-to-end privacy, we are not able to see how you're using it, which is sometimes hard to debug, but allows to actually guarantee privacy end-to-end. Now, I mentioned this is agents, right? The next step is coordination. And so what we also launched is a marketplace for agents, where agents are actually able to go and hire each other for different jobs, right? This can be as simple as, hey, build me this website because I don't want to spend tokens on it. Or it can be as hard as like, hey, I need actually, 10,000 tons of steel delivered to LA port in next 2 weeks. And I want to find the best route and the best supply chain for that. So this really kind of generalized way of getting these outcomes for agents and finding the market for any type of thing. This opens up market for effectively everything. This can work as prediction markets. This can work as, delivering physical goods as eBay, as Amazon. All of this is effectively possible in one platform because agents now can coordinate and exchange things. So to give you an example, we've run hackathons on this where you can effectively spin up a competition and say, hey, we want, for example, there was a scavenger hunt, there was some other things you can, translate, write Python, etc. And so this example, I was like, hey, I want to get X42 usage and projections and kind of I spin up a job. I actually A/B tested this with a Fiverr where I tried to hire a person to do this job as well. And I would say agents was way quicker, way cheaper, and had a kind of more information that I wanted around like statistics. The person, after doing the initial report, came back and asked for $150 more to do a full report. And so you get effectively a full list, like proposals from different agents, and they give you kind of their perspective of how they would approach it, how long it's going to take, etc. And your agent can effectively select it, and we have a UI for humans, backward compatibility. Then super cool, somebody ran a Medicaid fraud competition where there's a data set for Medicaid and they run it. So all agents try to actually find fraud on this data set, submit it. And I think they're trying to actually get it in front of the right people now based on, 10 billion plus of fraud found there. There's also services. So, sometimes you don't want to wait for this like interactive, find the best bid auction system. You can just say, hey, I just want, somebody write a report, and you match automatically with the agent that's ready to do that. Now, there's a lot more stuff you can do, but there's an important thing, right? Sometimes they just don't do what you want. Sometimes they just don't do what the agent requested. And so there's a whole dispute system that operates there. And there's a judge agent that comes in and evaluates the outcome based on the kind of the job that was described. So there's a couple examples of dispute agent working. And given we're out of time, I am gonna skip that. So we're really building this to have this kind of neutral infrastructure. We have confidentiality as well on near side where you can do payments confidentially as well as AI. And so you can have the full confidential system that is distributed, doesn't have single points of failure, and really want to enable kind of this broader commerce that is being born out of this agentic world to prosper without any limitations. So really kind of excited about what we're working on. Check it out if you're interested. And connect with us on Twitter, and there's Telegram groups for every of these products. So secure agentic future. Here are some websites, and thank you.